Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano, and I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is business. So I'm back in the studio with Carl. And Carl, we're going to talk about business today. I do have that killer 50mistakes.com website.
Yes, you do.
Which you helped me with a lot of the content for that. You and I are in the process of writing a book with all of that content on it. So there's tons of content. I think there's like almost 90 posts now on that site. And you can go to 50mistakes.com or FIFTYmistakes.com. And what it is, it's a free cyber coaching website that's designed that restaurateurs specifically, but any business can get on there and get free advice. And they're short 3-minute videos. I get to the point on a lot of them. I get a lot of emails, and I'm more than happy to work more individually with people and business owners that need additional help. But there's a lot of great free information on that site. So I'm a huge fan of restaurantowner.com. Huge fan. I've been a member of that since we opened the restaurant here 10 years ago. It's a phenomenal resource. And that's one of my videos is on that, on the website. One of the mistakes is, you don't have the resources like these big corporate chains do. Well, if you go to restaurantowner.com, you'll have those resources. There's tons of legal documents there. You copy their stuff and put your name in it. There's mission statements. There's sample work agreements, contracts. There's everything, you name it.
Job descriptions. Very
everything.
Important for making your restaurant run well. Knowing what each person's task is supposed to be, so that once you know that, you can define it for them. Makes for a much easier flow, both front of house and back of house.
And I think it's like $100 a year. So I'm not getting paid for that, but I just appreciate what they do. So, and I wish more, and that's one of the tips. So they sent out profit tip of the week. They do it every week, and their profit tip this week was about chefs, how they're getting kickbacks, and how it could be throwing a restaurant owner's finances off. Kickbacks. Now, are you familiar with kickbacks? I just talked to you about this off camera.
Vaguely a little bit about that, but before you get into the nuts and bolts of that, one of the mistakes though, which we did write about, was about not knowing the contracts that you have with your vendors and not getting the best possible price for your bottom line, really, not theirs, and how to negotiate those contracts. So this is very much related to that tip.
It is
50 mistakes.
It is. So chefs, and since I've been a chef, I've seen this. Since I've been in the industry, I've seen this. I saw heard of a truck pull up from a very reasonable, responsible, reputable resource one time. I heard the chef, a meat truck pull up to the chef from a hotel out off premises and start handing him an envelope of $100 of bills because there was some kind of deal going on, supposedly. So I've heard about this ever since the beginning. One of my beer distributors, he told me about a restaurant, not locally, but semi-locally, 30 minutes north of us in Kingston, that only buys beer from one distributor because that distributor gives them tons of Mets tickets. So why would they buy from another vendor? So they don't support one of the local breweries who's in the Kingston area, because that local brewery is not part of the distributor. So you're skipping a local great beer and several other local great beers because they're not part of that one distributor that you're getting your Mets tickets from. That came from another reliable source. We're not going to mention any names there, but you hear of these things all the time. And since I was back in the industry in Colorado in the mid-90s, late 90s, I heard of a lot of things. Now, typically, if you buy from the big companies, back in the day, I don't know how it is now, but when I bought from a food group called Cisco, a big company out there, I was told that I had to buy from them from my general manager at the country club. They walk in with a catalog, right? And they go, oh, look at the TV, look at the vacation, look at, and they go through the catalog and whatever it is, a bicycle, and everything has points attached to it. And the more I buy ketchup, the more I buy Miner's beef base, the more I buy from a certain group of foods, I get points. And then at the end of the season, or when I reach 10,000 points, I get to pick a vacation, a large screen TV, a bicycle. I mean, that's what it literally is. And on top of it, these companies have buying shows, where I went to one of the buying shows, and I didn't know I was getting anything, but after the buying show, they said, oh, you have so many points. And they take you to a room, and they're like, this is the points you have, and you can get something. I'm like, really? I mean, I wasn't expecting that. But chefs are expecting that, and they do take advantage of these things. And I went to this food show the second year, And I made a joke like, oh, I lost my job last year because I took home that large screen TV. I was making jokes to all the suppliers, but in reality, that's what these chefs are doing. They're going to these shows, they're getting suckered in from these companies, and they're taking home large screen TVs, vacations. They're getting kickbacks. If you do a search on Google for kickbacks and chefs, you'll see way back to Escoffier's time, which was 100 years ago. Escoffier was the chef to kings. He was the most notable classic French chef, written many books, Le Guide Culinaire, which is a must-have if you're a chef, aspiring chef, a student. Escoffier, which one is his main book. He stole over $3 million in his lifetime. You know, and he actually got fired from one of his jobs. But the list goes on. There's pages and pages in Google results of famous chefs, of well-known chefs, that are caught in these triangles of kickbacks.
Yeah, you know, it seems really counterproductive. First of all, if you're the owner of the restaurant and let's start with the owner. You need to be watching your food costs to begin with. You should be hawking over your contracts to begin with. And it just seems to me that it's a fool's errand to rely on a trade-off of what you may be getting apparently for free. You're really not. You're really going to pay for it. But if you negotiate your contracts properly, you save the money, take yourself on your own trip, buy your own TV. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Right. The chef is going to get a TV if he gets a better food cost, if he helps the restaurant owner make money, if he's in a profitable scenario. But a lot of chefs don't think like that, and it's a shame. And another good friend of mine at one point, his name is Peter Timmons, and he went to work at Baltimore Country Club as the executive chef. And a good friend of mine told me the story because he was working with him. He goes, a Cisco salesman walks in and shows him this book, and he goes, I'm not playing your game. I'm not doing that. I want good food. I don't want a TV. I want good food. And he basically told the Cisco rep how it was. And we need more chefs like that to take a stance. But ultimately, somebody's paying for the TV. Somebody's paying for the vacation. The food is getting overinflated in cost. And then the consumer pays for it. The restaurant owner pays for it. But you know, and we were talking about green in one of our other segments, Carl, and how we're trying to get chefs to pay more for green products.
Right.
But they're willing to pay more for kickbacks.
Yeah, doesn't make sense. And then just perhaps a polite message to the executive chefs or the chefs out there: if you do your homework, and you can prove that you can prove to the owner of the restaurant that you can save them X percentage of money over the year, negotiate something in a salary increase for yourself out of that percentage, and then do right by the restaurant and by your guests especially, increase your quality of food and decrease the costs. That's again just a more sane, rational method of doing it.
This is the key. As a restaurant owner, my employees are worth what they contribute. They're not worth what their experience is, they're worth what they contribute. So the highest paid people are the ones that are paid on bonuses. So people that are willing to take less of a salary and have a bonus performance, a performance bonus. So if the restaurant does this, if the food cost is this, if this, and this, but you still have to be careful. There's another side to that because you don't want the chef to be cheap and cut quality and this and that. But if that's done properly, I know restaurant scenarios where their bonuses, the managers and chefs, their bonuses were more than their salary, because they're paid upon performance. And if you get somebody who's driven, a manager, a chef, and cannot treat it like it's his own business, then the opportunities are there and it's win-win for everybody. But that needs to be evaluated very carefully, and you have to have really strong measuring points in there and checks and balances, because you don't want the chef just buying the cheapest possible things. You don't want the chef not buying sauté pans because he burnt his budget on smallwares this year and he's not going to buy the cook's sauté pans to cook with because he's going to get a bonus because he's, you know, under budget. You don't want a scenario like that. You need a balance. You need checks and balances in a scenario like that. But the bottom line is, you know, kickbacks happen all the time, and they're still happening. When I was an executive chef in Colorado, and I was buying from Cisco and I was buying from the big dairy companies, they would come in, Carl, and hand me Mets tickets, not Mets tickets, Colorado Rockies tickets. I had Skybox tickets to Air Force football games. I was in row number 9 behind third base, row 25 behind home plate. They would just give you tickets like crazy because they want you to keep buying from them. Now, I was never told well, if you buy so much from us, we'll give you Yankee tickets. They were just trying to keep my business and just keep the Yankee ticket. And then I keep saying Yankees and Mets. It's Colorado Rockies. They would just keep the baseball tickets coming my direction because they wanted to. But there's a lot of systems out there where, hey, you buy and you'll get this, and that's what we want to avoid. As a restaurant owner, we want to avoid that scenario where your chef is making deals like that. I even know scenarios, Carl, where the chef would say, charge me more for this and give me a part of your commission.
Yeah, I know it's not the way you think. It's certainly not the way I think. I just can't see doing business in those terms. Like I said, it just makes more sense to do the right thing the first time, save the money, do the quality product, and give the quality service, and walk away already having saved the money so that you can do with it as you see fit.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening, watching. This is Chef Marcus Giuliano, Chef on a Mission Radio, Aroma Time Radio, and MarcusG.tv. If you like this video, please share it, like it, and definitely tune back in.